Okay, folks, welcome back to the channel. I've got a long lost friend of mine back on the channel. I know we said that the podcast is dead, and it is, but
this is a drive cast.
This is a drive cast for one, and it's a special episode only because we want to talk, and you probably saw the title in the thumbnail and the description and everything. It's talk about that charging issue, or that Chicago charging issue, more specifically, that came up a few days ago, and it went all throughout the news, all the mainstream media news, and just wanted to touch about basis. Just wanted to talk about it and touch bases on it, and I figured who best but the expert, Franklin himself. Welcome to the.
I'm an expert.
Show. You're an expert. I'm gonna make you an expert. You're an expert.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Expert.
Expert.
Yep.
And right now I'm gonna superimpose an expert thing.
Okay.
Right over your head.
I'm an expert when it comes to going to low charge.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, and that's good. That just means you have knowledge in charging and battery preconditioning and health and stuff like that, which is something I want to talk about. So if anyone doesn't know and you're watching this and are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, bear with us. We're going to do this as I navigate on the highway and stuff like that. But in a nutshell, it was the deep freeze that went across basically the good part of the north part of North America, where it was like a polar vortex and everything, and it went down in the States to minus 15 Fahrenheit. It was cold, what's that here, like minus 30 here?
Yeah.
Celsius.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was cold, and
that's before the wind chill too.
Before. Yeah, that's not wind chill. Wind chill doesn't really make a difference for electric cars. Maybe if you're driving down a highway, it'll get in the. If you're going against a headwind, it'll make the car get cold. The battery
I'm just saying it's
colder.
very cold.
It's cold for us, for humans, for wind chill. We're affected easily by wind chill. Battery packs not so much. But regardless, and you know, in charging stations. So anyways, why Chicago? Probably because it's the windy city and they're more susceptible to the wind. I don't know. But they were centered out as a problematic in these news articles that came all over the internet and all over mainstream media and stuff like that, about Tesla cars and EVs, but specifically Teslas, just being abandoned and broken down out front of these charging stations and superchargers and stuff like that. One guy called it, or I'll play the clip right now, and you'll see it. He basically called robots. They call the cars robots.
Everywhere in America's cold. Do what I do, layer up. Long sleeve shirt, vest, shell, jacket. But if you really want to stay warm, don't drive a Tesla. The freezing temps are zapping the juice out of electric cars, leaving drivers stranded. In Chicago, a little cold weather turned a supercharging station into an expensive junkyard.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook.
So yeah, if you want, I'll put a link in the description if you want to see the whole news article. I don't want to play the whole thing because I don't want to copyright infringe on anyone. You know how these mainstream media people can be. But, you know,
even if you Google it, the first image you see will be like someone pushing a Tesla at a supercharger.
Yeah, that was one of the thumbnails in some of them.
Yeah.
So let's talk. We all know what happened and stuff like that, if you saw that article and just a news clip or my brief description. But let's talk about why, because I think it's good to dissect this and piece it apart and understand why it's happening. Of course, a lot of the positive. Oh, you're gonna hear that beep every now and then. That stupid nag from autopilot that's gotten
so
worse. Yeah, it's so bad. But anyways, I got my hands on the wheel. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, we got sidetracked.
We're dissecting. Yeah, always do.
Yeah.
So it is like a podcast, but now it's a car cast.
Yeah.
We're gonna dissect why it happens and bring to light as to, is the media wrong or is the people wrong? What happened?
We could talk about, exactly. Yeah. We could talk about that first and foremost. My opinion, and we haven't talked about this yet, so I don't know. We may have a difference of opinion, which may just make for a more colorful podcast or
Carcast.
Gotta get used to that. Yeah, but my opinion, You mind if I go first?
Yeah.
My opinion first, I think, is, you know what? As much FUD as there is out there, and when I first saw it, I'm like, this is FUD and stuff, and I watched the article, and it made me start to think, and I realized, you know what? I see the issue. In this one case, yeah, was it a little funny? Yeah, it was. But I see in this case, the media actually having a point, because the cars did run out of energy, and we'll get into why. I think there's many reasons why. And the hardware did fail in certain circumstances. The Tesla ones, as reliable as they have been, and as great of a track record as they've had, they actually failed in this sense. So I guess I hate to say this, I can't believe I'm saying it, but the media was correct in a sense in running with the story, maybe not sensationalizing it as much as they did, but they were correct in at least the basic data and premise that they did. What do you think?
So I think I agree with what you're saying. I think where the media went wrong is they should have covered the reasons as to why it happened.
Exactly, and the media has no idea why it happened, so that's why they didn't bring it up.
And I think that's kind of what we're probably going to touch on next, is to why it happened. And I think, okay, so there's a number of things at play. Have new owners that don't understand range, charging, that it's an estimated. So if your car shows 100 kilometers, 100 miles, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get that exact amount. It's no different than a gas car. So I think that's one problem, and we can go more in depth about that. But then also I think the whole, where do people charge? If you live in a place that does not have a charger at your house, you're gonna have to charge at a supercharger. And this is gonna be a growing problem as they open up the supercharger to more cars over the next this year, next year, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you think it's bad now, exactly. Yeah, no, I can. You're exactly right, Franklin. I've, like I said, it's no secret. I've given this some thought. That's why I wanted to start a video and talk about this. And you know what? Get your opinions too. So if you have opinions that differ from ours and you disagree with us, respectfully put a comment down below, and we can continue after the video's finished with the discussions in the comment section. Like I said, I've given this some thought, and I've classed them in from least to most, in my opinion, most important reasons why this issue happened. And I think it was a perfect storm, as, pardon the pun, but it was a perfect storm, and it was a colliding and a mixing of all these scenarios that made this event happen. And not to say it'll never happen again, it can, and like Franklin alluded to, this probably will. We are going to get colder temperatures. It's part of, whether you want to admit it or not, climate change, where we have extreme cold temperatures, really cold in the winter at times, and really hot in the summer at times, right? So, yeah, we touched on it, the least, I'll start with the least. We touched on it a little bit. The chargers weren't working, and fair enough, the public chargers, the non-Tesla superchargers, what more can we say about those, right?
They don't work on a good day.
Yes, exactly. So there were the first failure point, and I get how that easily happened, and any non-Tesla owner.
I think it's very fair to say non-supercharging network is hit and miss, from my personal experience anyway.
It is. There's no, we can debate this. Well, we shouldn't be able to, because this is
it's kind of factual.
Yeah.
It fails. It fails a lot.
I agree.
And I think the Tesla ones actually do a pretty good job overall. And I'm not saying it because I have a Tesla. I'm pretty.
Yeah, and we both experienced road trips, and we both tried them both out, right?
I've had road trips where my Tesla said, "Hey, we have to reroute you around the supercharger because the supercharger is out of service."
Yeah,
I've had that happen.
I've had that once. I've had that with Cornwall, Ontario, and I made a video on that, and it almost stranded me. And thank God for public charging, as much as we're bashing it here.
Yeah.
But it came out in a pinch for me. But more times than not, it's usually the other way around.
It is. The reliability on the supercharger is really good. My experience with public chargers has been very hit and miss.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two that I have is and like I said, this is the order, in my opinion, goes, and you may not agree with me, from least to most responsible for this thing. So the chargers, I think, yeah, you got to give some responsibility there, but I don't think that was the biggest responsibility. That was the least. The second one was selfish EV owners. And what I mean by that is owners, and this could be combined with another point that I have later down in my list for the non-educated, but let's just call them selfish, the ones that do know and chose to do it anyways. Whereas you know that there's a lineup and you can charge to 80%, and you know that after 80% it slows down and it throttles you, and to get from 80 to 90 or 100, it's twice as long. But they stayed anyways, because a lot of, if you read more of the articles, I read some more in depth of those Chicago articles, where cars were there for 4 or 5 hours. And yes, I get it, the charging is slower, so you know, the freezing temperature, especially if you go in there with zero, the car is going to take a lot longer to start charging because it's got to warm up the pack, and the little bit of energy it uses is to warm up the pack, and then it'll start charging. So I get that, and that could take a while, but it's no way it's going to take 4 or 5 hours unless you're going from 80 to 100 and you're being selfish. You know there's a lineup of people and you're staying there and you're just charging up to full. So I think selfish EV owners have a lot.
Yeah, because like you don't need to go up to 100 to be able to get to your next supercharger stop.
No.
Even if you're going on a road trip.
If you're going on a road trip, but
if you're local and you're like, okay, well, I'm at 50% now. Why even pick 80? I'm at 50% now. I'll come back later. This is more than enough that I need right now. Let me help out some other people around me.
Well, and this is the selfishness of some citizens in our society today, right? That's a whole different topic.
And I know people that aren't EV owners might pick this apart and be like, hey, this is the reason why EV should not exist, because
of course,
why should you not be allowed to go up to 100? But I mean, I don't know. It's a rare situation where you have a number of things that are happening.
It's where our technology is today, and where the chemistry of batteries are today. It is. Some may say we're all still early adopters. We definitely are.
Yeah.
But even people that are buying Teslas and EVs today could be classed as early adopters still, because the technology is in its infancy still. I think. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And then the next step, I think, would be ride sharing EV owners. And here in Canada, it's not such a big deal, but in the States, ride sharing is huge for EVs, and it compounds it even more by these ride sharing companies. And when I say ride sharing, I mean Lyft and Uber and stuff like that, right? Those are the two predominant companies. But in the States, you have this program where you can rent, whether it's from Hertz or whatever rental company that rents EVs, you can rent. If you're a ride-sharing employee, you can rent it for a lot cheaper and use their car. So a lot of down in the States, and especially in Chicago, apparently, I was reading and watching some other YouTube channels where they're talking about ride-sharing is very predominant in a lot of these big U.S. cities, and they're all ride-sharing users are always at the superchargers and are at the public chargers.
Well, it makes sense because they're working and they need to charge up quick.
Exactly. So, you know, is ride sharing using an EV the most? I get it, you save a ton of money in terms of compared to gas, but outside of a snowstorm and a deep freeze, is it really the best way to you know, run your business? I guess from a financial standpoint, the argument
I think it is
made. But okay, so
I think that affects other people, regular people, but as a business, I would definitely pick an EV.
Yeah. So
if I'm doing Uber, I'd pick a Tesla or an EV.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it from both sides, right? I mean, I could play devil's advocate and see it from both sides. So from a ride-sharing person, it's a no-brainer.
I wouldn't blame the ride-share as much as I would say that we need more chargers expanding, because the network has to support the increasing number of cars.
The infrastructure.
The infrastructure is not keeping up with the demand of cars.
Well, that's good.
There's a demand problem.
That's perfect, and there is when it comes to the infrastructure, and I get that, right? And it's going to grow out. It's going to grow out more, hopefully faster. Is the infrastructure growing as fast as the EV adoption is taking place?
I don't think so.
Probably not, and that's why we're in maybe the position we're in now.
When you got your car, so we have really early Model 3s.
Yeah.
I have mine. I'm still driving mine, and I remember going to a supercharger, and there was no one there. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, where are the Tesla owners? Yeah. These chargers are all empty. And now you go to a charger, like there was a new one that opened up in the city here, and there's already a lineup at it, and it's brand new. We looked earlier today, and it was the only one that, well, not the only, they're all used, but that one was packed with a wait time. So
yeah. Since this article and this issue's come up, I've been looking in my surrounding areas on the Tesla app, looking at the superchargers, and I'm seeing a lot of wait times. And I get it, right? It's physics, it's chemistry. Like I said earlier, that's going to happen. And in this deep cold, you don't get as much range. You use more for heating. I get that, right? The whole part of, remember last year, this year it seems to be the strandedness in Chicago. Remember last year it was the heated and getting stranded on the highway when they had that I-75 or I-70.
Yeah.
And the big thing in the media was people are walking away from their EVs that are stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah, there's a different reason to stranded each year. But
yeah, every year.
I think to your point earlier, I don't think they did a poor job covering it this year.
No, like I said, this year is got a little more validity. I agree. And I'm glad you changed my mind with the ride sharing, because this is why I could sit here and just talk to the camera and just give you my opinion, but to have a second opinion is good, is diverse, right? And
I think
you actually changed my opinion.
Yeah, like in terms of like media coverage, I'm gonna flip the script for a second. It's on topic, but it's off topic.
Yeah.
Cybertruck. We talked about this earlier. Cybertruck keeps getting stuck in snow.
Yes.
Tesla marketed it as a truck that can go everywhere, and it's this big beast of a car. It's literally called the Cyber Beast.
Yeah.
And it's getting stuck in snow, and other pickup trucks have to come pull it out.
Yeah.
The media you gotta give the media credit. They're not the ones covering it. It's spreading through social media, not media.
The media's been pretty quiet, mainstream-wise, yeah.
Because mainstream media probably realizes that it's just people that are buying trucks that don't realize that they need snow tires.
Exactly. And it's partially, let's call a spade, partially Tesla's fault, right?
Well, it is, because they're not educating the people that are buying the vehicle. Yeah,
to say, these are great tires, and they make the car look amazing and beastie, but you need proper snow tires, which these aren't.
So I'm not trying to say the media is perfect, but I say in terms of overall coverage, they've gotten better towards EVs. They're not blaming the Cybertruck saying it's an EV problem. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying it's great, but it's a lot better than what it was 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
5 years ago, it was like, man, you have an EV? No.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed the media ramp up a little bit in their anti-EV-ness lately, but yeah, 5 years ago, maybe it would have been worse. Let's get back to the Chicago thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just talking about.
And it was related. I get it. It was a little bit of a tangent, but it was related to the media.
How the media on this coverage isn't.
Yeah, we got to give them somewhat credit, right? We got to call a spade.
They could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. No, if they were bad, I would say they're bad. If they're good, I got to admit when they're good, right? The next point, and I think the most important point, and what Franklin touched on a little bit here, is many EV owners, especially Tesla owners, because let's face it, when we say EVs, majority of them are Teslas, and that's not to stroke Tesla's, pat them on the head or anything like that. That's just a fact, right? Majority of EVs are Teslas, so clump Tesla in there as much as anyone else. But many of the new EV owners, and maybe some old EV owners too, but let's just say many of the new ones are uneducated.
Yeah.
They're uneducated in terms of how to properly charge, how to what happens in cold conditions, how much you should leave, how much buffer you should leave, like stuff like that, little things. And we were talking about this a little bit in the restaurant. We were just in a restaurant before this, in terms of, Tesla's responsible, or I'm saying Tesla, but you can say GM for their bolts, you can say Hyundai, you can say Rivian, you can insert anyone
who's selling an EV to a customer should be
those
educating.
Salespeople.
They should be educating their customers on using their product.
Exactly.
Because you don't want that person to use a product where they get bad PR for the company.
And this is exactly. And this is whether you call it technology or not, this is new, right? This is new to society. A lot of owners are new to this, so they should be asking, this your first EV? If so, okay, these are the basic things that you're going to need in the next 10-15 minutes. Let me go through it with you before you walk out that door, especially because I'm selling you this car in the fall or in December. Like, you're going to need to know this, not just here's your keys, thanks for the check, enjoy
One of the
your
most important things you can use on a Tesla is the energy graph, especially when you're on a road trip.
Yes.
Or you're trying to push the limits.
Yes.
Because I've pushed the limits, and we're not going to get into that too much, but I've really pushed the limits on my car, and that's because I really understand the energy graph. We saw a Rivian, and one of the questions I asked the guy is, hey, do you have an energy graph? Because it's such an important tool to understand your range.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of things, like, that's something that you buy a Tesla, the Tesla salesperson should sit down with you and explain that to you.
I agree, and they're all guilty of it.
All of them, all the companies. Yeah.
But with that said, all the blame can't be just on the salespeople and the companies. In this day and age, and this is the point where I was making to you at lunch, in this day and age, when you're buying a car or any consumer electronic product, I mean, it should be incumbent on you. It should be your full responsibility. Well, maybe not full, but gross majority of the responsibility should be on you, the consumer, to do your homework and do your research.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be left fully up to the person selling you the car, because at the end of the day, that's what they're doing. They're selling you a car. Well, they want to move on to the next sale.
The example that we came up with when we're talking about this was charging cards. So I'm guessing, like, a lot of the viewers right now have Teslas. How many of you that are still watching this have a ChargePoint card or give me some flow card that was sent to you in case your phone doesn't work or you don't? How many of you sent away for that in advance of a problem? I have one.
Yeah, and I have one too. And these are the things that you need to do as if you're taking a road trip, especially with your family. I felt it incumbent and irresponsible of me if I didn't know I'm taking on my family on this long road trip where some chargers could be remote, and your phone, that's great, you have the app on your phone, but your phone may not have signal there. So why not have? I've got a card right here.
Oh, okay. Well, this was unscripted.
Here's a flow card. Does it show my card number? Here's a flow card. It's an NFC card. No, sorry, it's not.
Now I see the number. You flipped it on the other side.
Did it? Oh, no, that's a phone number on the other side. So, my point is, I've got a flow card. I've got a bunch of cards. Have I ever used them? I think once or twice, but they're in my car if I ever need to.
But that's the whole research and planning and understanding what you can do to mitigate problems before they happen, rather than saying, oh shoot, I have a problem.
Exactly.
Be proactive, not reactive.
And people don't do that these days.
Yeah.
So that's another bigger point, I think, a reason why, the situation in Chicago actually happened. But the biggest reason, the biggest number, and I know we're I don't know how many minutes into this CarCast. Yeah. But one of the biggest reason, I think, is people that use public chargers or superchargers that don't have the ability to home charge.
Yep.
Don't have home chargers, whether they have only on-street parking and they don't have driveways or garages, or they're condo dwellers or apartment dwellers or renters.
Yeah, I'm very pro EV, but I do not recommend anyone who does not have the ability to charge at their house to buy one, because you're going to be struggling with the public charging network the whole time.
It'll be worse than gas.
Yeah, my friend just bought a car and he wanted to buy an EV, but he couldn't because he wouldn't be able to. He can't charge at home because he lives in a condo. So it makes a lot more sense for him to buy a gas car.
Now, you could have sold him the Kool-Aid and said, no, go EV, there's no other way to go, but you didn't, right?
No, because I want to give him a realistic...
Because you're a friend.
Yeah, I'm a friend. I want to give him a realistic expectation of how to work and what to expect. And,
exactly.
I don't want to screw over a friend.
No, you're exactly right, and you're a good friend for doing that. Because at the end of the day, and I agree with you, and I've had coworkers and family members ask me about EVs and stuff.
I missed out on my credit.
What credit?
The referral credit. Could have got referral credit for my Tesla, but...
Oh, yeah, you did, if you wanted.
Don't listen to what I'm saying. Use Dax's referral link in the description.
No, seriously, though. Like, yeah, if you live in a condo and you've talked into your condo board and they can't put in chargers, or they won't allow you to, because it's pretty expensive on your part if they even will allow you to, which make it cost prohibitive. it's best to, in this case, maybe get a plug-in, not a plug-in, just a regular hybrid. And I usually wouldn't suggest a hybrid. I think hybrids have had their days, and in this day and age, it's EV or nothing. And in this case, I'd say, I'd stick with your gas car.
Well, he got a hybrid, is what he ended up purchasing. So I think it has...
Okay, so he got the best.
I think he has like 50 kilometers or something. So it's like enough for him to get to work, but not
it's
back
not home.
It's
just a regular hybrid, not
just
a
regular,
hybrid?
Okay. But it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, no, it's better than nothing, and it's the first step, I guess.
It was the best thing he can do given his situation.
But you know what it is? I almost said these people. Sorry, it's people.
You just did.
I almost said it, and then I referred to it. I didn't say.
Oh, okay.
People that see the gas savings with EVs, it's a no-brainer. I get it, right? I get that part of it. You do the quick math, and you'll see the savings, and in that part, it's a no-brainer. But or they see, even they figured out that the whole EVs are a more expensive thing is a myth, right? Because they see the gas savings and they understand that it's actually cheaper in the long run. And they get tunnel vision, and whether they're renters and their landlord doesn't allow them to put in, which I don't see why they would. Just whatever. Those people haven't faced reality and come to the realization that, you know what, maybe an EV isn't good for me. They figured, I'm going to use a public charger. And you know what? And it's also a fact that maybe some of these people are stuck in the gas thinking, the old school gas thinking, where, you know what, I've got to go to work for the week and it's Sunday night. I'm going to go to the gas station and fill up. Well, I'm going to go to the charger and fill up. Yeah, and I only need to go to the charger once, maybe twice a week. And they think of filling up. They've got that mentality of filling up, right? It's muscle memory that if you've been driving for decades, it's hard to get out of. And I get it, right? But
they're damaging their battery.
Someone should, that too. That's another, we talked about it, why I would never, well, I shouldn't say never, but I would find it very hard. It would take a lot in me to buy a used EV.
Because you never know what damage is done to the battery. But anyway, that's a whole different tangent.
Exactly. That's a topic for a different
Carcast.
But so the number one thing I think is people that don't have home charging. If you can, if it's a matter of you just don't want to spend money, you want to be cheap, well, it's not cheaper. And that's the other thing too. When you're with these public prices, like at the end of the day, have they not done the math and see that at the end of the day, especially at supercharging prices, you may not be coming out on top with the price.
Supercharging's increased a lot.
Yeah, that like, I don't know, maybe it breaks even now. I don't know.
I can, keep talking. Let me look at something.
No, I know you're checking the price, right? No, but what I'm saying is, like, unless you can put a home charger in your house, and I know this is another argument where the naysayers say, EVs are only for the rich, because home chargers, you can get a decent home charger for a decent price. Don't get the knockoffs. Don't get the Amazon cheap ones. You're just risking burning your freaking house down.
Okay, so
get a decent charger, but they're still worth it in the long run.
I'll give you the math real quick, and this is just based off my own car. Okay,
your car.
In the last year, I've charged just 10,092 kilowatt hours.
Give me dollars.
Okay, that's what I put in my car. 20% of that is supercharging. 80% of that is at home.
Okay, 20/80 split.
20/80 split. I've spent $700 on superchargers.
Wow.
And 1,082 at home.
Wow. And that's 20/80.
That's 20/80.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see it right there.
It's not.
Yeah.
The savings is because I'm at home. Well, I have a reason why I've been supercharging a lot, because I've been going away on long road trips.
You had to.
I had to, but the prior 5 years of ownership, I think my supercharging was like, I don't know, less than $20.
Yeah. So my point is, like, supercharging is expensive, and you should be charging at home. And I think these let's just call them condo dwellers that clog up the public charging and the superchargers and stuff like that. That's what, in my opinion,
get off his lawn.
Superchargers and public chargers, that's not, and the infrastructure, the public infrastructure, that's not how it was set up and meant to be. It was set up and meant to be for road tripping.
Yeah.
Get off your lawn. I know it was made for road tripping, in my opinion. It wasn't made to take the place of of a home charger. Now, temporarily, if your home charger breaks or you've bought the car, but your home charger and your electrician isn't going to install it for another month or so, I get that part. But long term?
Yeah, I bought my house in the summer, got a new house in the summer, and I don't have my charger for the first 2 weeks. I used a supercharger. I hated it. Couldn't wait to... That was my favorite thing I did on my house. I had my home charger.
And you had one nearby, too, right?
No, it was just down the street, but I still was dying to...
It's so convenient.
To get my home charger.
You wake up every morning with 70 to 80% charge. Almost a full tank.
Yeah.
What you can consider a full tank.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Anyways, I don't want to make this longer than it already is. That is my... And we can go and we can... I wanted to touch, but it'll make the video way too long. I wanted to touch on solutions, how we can solve this from happening. But in a nutshell, it's just more infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
Home charging and more infrastructure. We need that. And better education, of course. Better education, home charging, and more infrastructure. You do those three, and hopefully they can be done at the same time as EV growth grows, and then we won't see this problem. But I suspect we probably will.
Yeah.
For a little while. Any last comments before we say goodbye to everyone?
Make sure you subscribe to Dax's channel. Goodbye.
Let's continue this discussion down in the comments below, folks. If you got a comment or something, leave it down below, and we'll catch you on the next one. Got a little surprise video for you, untest related, coming up soon. That's my only hint. Bye-bye.